Lovin' Life's Journey DIY. I'm Chantel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing two fall projects using the football wreath form and the bicycle wheel wreath form from Dollar Tree. So let's jump in and get started.
First, I'm going to start out with this 14-inch bicycle wheel wreath form. And I'm actually going for kind of an end of summer transitioning into fall wreath. So I picked out some florals from Dollar Tree that I thought would be good for going into fall but would still look kind of like summer. I'm also going to be using this unfinished wood sign from Dollar Tree that says thankful and blessed. For this project, I only want to use one of the words, so I'm going to use a craft knife and carefully cut them apart. I almost forgot to cut the "and" sign off, but here I'm cutting it off and I'm going to save it because it might be good to use for another project. Next, I'm going to take a little bit of sandpaper and just sand off those places where I cut the words apart just to smooth them out a little. And I decided, since I was going for more of an end of summer transitioning into fall look, that I would paint this more of a sage green color instead of going with like an orange or a yellow or a brown. But I think those colors would be pretty too, or you could paint the word black, but since the bicycle wheel frame was black, I thought having a contrasting color would be better. Once my green paint is dry, I'm going to come in with some just off-white colored chalk paint, and I'm going to dry brush across this just to soften it up, give it a little bit of an aged look. So the edges of these signs are already stained a little bit darker, and so the areas where I cut the words apart, the lighter wood is showing. So I'm going to take a little bit of antique wax from Waverly and a small brush and just go over those little areas where I cut the words apart so that they're all the same color. Next, I'm going to start arranging my florals. So I'm going to take my flowers that I got from Dollar Tree and I'm going to cut them off using some wire cutters so I have all individual flowers instead of these bunches. So I always like to lay out my florals before I start attaching anything to my project. So I'm going to just start arranging them and get an idea of what I want it to look like. And now that I have something that I like, I'm going to take this gold floral wire that I got at Dollar Tree. It's very thin and easy to work with. You can cut it with scissors, and I really like it for wrapping around the stems of flowers when I'm attaching them to these wreaths. So I'm going to carefully remove my flowers, kind of keeping them a little bit in the order that I had them. And then I'm going to just work in smaller bunches and take some wire and wrap it around the frame. This is just an easier way to attach it because hot glue does not work to glue to the wire frame, so this wire works really well. So I'm going to start with some of these smaller yellow flowers at the top, and then I'm going to alternate my softer yellow and the brighter yellow flowers and just work down one side of the wreath and add in a few of the smaller ones as I go. And I also had some little white flowers left over from some other projects, so I added some of those in, and I really like how this is turning out. When I get to the end, I'm going to wrap my wire around several times just to secure those stems really well. This is not going to show because I am going to put a ribbon bow over the top. And I decided to go with this ribbon from Dollar Tree that's really pretty yellow with these brown sunflowers on it. I thought this was perfect for transitioning from summer to fall. And since the design is only on one side of the ribbon, I am having to twist it after every loop that I make. So I am twisting it in the center before I loop the ribbon around. I'm going to make 5 loops on each side, and then I'm going to do a loop in the center, so I have a total of 11 loops, and this will make the perfect size bow. And I'm just going to take some of the floral wire and put through the center of the bow and wrap it around and twist it tight to hold the bow. And then I can use that same wire to attach the bow to the wreath, and then I'll also use a little bit of hot glue just to help secure it in place. To attach my blessed sign, I'm going to use some of this thin jute twine from Dollar Tree, and I am just tying it through the top of the letter B, and then I'm going to loop it around a couple of those top spokes of the bicycle wheel, and then back into the top of the letter D at the end of the word, and so it's just basically hanging there. Then I trim off the excess twine, and this project is finished. I really like how this turned out with the word painted in the green, but I also wanted to try using the other word, the thankful word, and stain it brown and see what it looked like. And I think this really looks more fall-like and is really pretty as well. Let me know in the comments below which one you like. And of course you could use any color scheme for your florals. So if you wanted it to be more fall-like, you could add more oranges and browns into your florals. It's really just whatever you want it to look like. For this next project, I'm going to be using the football wreath form from Dollar Tree. They usually start putting these out about the same time they put out the back to school things and fall items. And I'm also going to be using a couple packages of this nautical rope as well as some jute twine. I'll be using one of these wood stems from this package that I got at Dollar Tree a while back. You could just use a piece of wood or stick from your yard, so you don't have to buy it necessarily. But since I had them from a different project, I thought I would use them. I'm also going to be using several pine cones. These are some I picked up after Christmas last year for like 25 cents for that whole package. And I'll be using some of these leaves from this leaf garland from Dollar Tree. So I started by tying my jute twine to one end of the football frame, and I'm going to be wrapping the whole outside rim of this in this jute twine. And so I started doing this, and then I realized I had missed a step. I wanted to spray paint this frame because it's like a really dark green, or maybe even it's just black, it's hard to tell, but I wanted to spray paint it the same color as the jute twine. So I paused, and I didn't want to unwrap my jute twine, what I'd already done, because it's a little time consuming. And so I put some painter's tape over the top of it, and then I took it outside and spray painted it this nutmeg color. This is from Rust-Oleum. I just picked it up at Walmart for under $4, but it's the perfect color to use with the jute twine. It will help the frame just blend in so much better. So after my spray paint was dry, then I finished wrapping the outside edge of my football frame with the jute twine, and then I tied it off at the end, and I did leave a little bit of twine when I cut that off so that I could tie a loop there just to make a hanger for this piece. So next I am going to take some jute twine and I am going to tie it to that top horizontal piece on the football frame, and I'm tying it on the inside so that the knot is concealed on the inside. And since my spool won't fit through the wreath form, I'm going to pull off a nice long piece of twine and cut that off. Just wind it around my hand so it's a little bit easier to work with. And then I'm going to be wrapping this randomly on the outside of the football, stretching from that top horizontal piece down to the bottom of the football, over to the sides, just kind of back and forth and all around. Just real random. You'll see what I'm doing here, but I'm just going to fill it in until it looks good to the eye and I'm happy with it. So I'm thinking this looks pretty good. I'm going to finish it off and then I will tie off the twine and secure it with just a little bit of hot glue. Now I'm going to take my nautical rope and I am going to be creating the top little cap of my acorn. So I am going to put a little hot glue in the end of the rope. I remove the tape that's around it and then just put a little hot glue in between the strands of the rope, twist it together. Those little finger protectors are gold in this situation. And so I do that to both ends of the rope, and then I am going to attach it on the back side of my frame. And I actually started this a little bit high. You'll see later I add a few more rows. So I would say almost, like not quite halfway down is maybe where you want to start it. Just kind of eyeball what you think looks good. And so then I'm just going to stretch this across the football frame and then back around the back and just kind of wrap it around, and I will secure it with hot glue in a few places just to help hold it because it kind of wants to slip because of the shape of the football frame. So when I literally get to the end of my rope, I'm going to secure that at the back side of the frame, and it just worked out perfectly for the length of the rope. So I'll just secure that with hot glue, and then I'll start my next rope over on the other side and then continue on. And when I get to the top, I'm just going to finish that off. I will leave a little bit of a flat spot and not go all the way because that's where I'm going to hot glue my little wood stem. And this is going to be the stem of the acorn. So now it's time to dress this up a little bit. I'm going to pull off some of the leaves that I want to use. I'm using a variety, some of the more red ones, using orange, some with green, just kind of all the colors because that's what fall's all about. And then I'm going to be using 3 pine cones and a few berries and just give this a little bit of a fall floral flare at the top. Wow, say that fast 3 times. So once I have most of my leaves and pine cones on, then I'm going to add these big berries that I got at Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to add in a few of those, and then anywhere there are some bare spots I will add some more leaves and just fill it in. So after I got my florals on, that's when I felt like the little top top of my acorn was not big enough, and so I did add 2 more rows of rope on the bottom of that edge just to make it look a little bit more proportionate so that it looked more like an acorn. And I'm really happy that I decided to do that. I think it looks a lot better. I hope you enjoyed this video and these fun fall projects with these wreath forms from Dollar Tree. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel. And if you want more fall inspiration, be sure to check out my 20 fall DIYs video. I will link that here. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a blessed day.